Time and space boy. I still have to talk to Gon Jume about this. Hall door was wide open. She looked cheerful and in a good mood, and smiled as soon as she met. Brother, you finally came to me. Quote. Yi Ming smiled slightly. Jume, I'm here to trouble you. Quote. Jume waved her hands repeatedly. Brother, I have something important to tell you. Yi Ming knew that what she was talking about must be related to the agent of the sky, so she nodded. Okay, you talk first. Quote. Gon Jume took out a rune, packed crystal message and said, Big brother, this is a celestial order. It is a unique status symbol for our Gon family's agent. I now invite you to be my god in Gon family. Quote. Yi Ming heard and said, God. Quote. Gon Jume laughed. The forces supported by the agents of the heavens are no small matter. They have the title of God. The forces supported by the agents of the level have the title of monarchs. The forces supported by the agents of the level have no title. Collectively referred to as white clothes. Quote. Yi Ming. You want me to be God? Do you like me like that? Quote. Gon Jume laughed. Of course, I believe in my own vision and judgment. Furthermore, my situation at the Gon family is very bad as you had speculated at the time. My aunt is targeting me if I do not want to continue to be persecuted by her. You have to do your own business. Quote. Yi Ming. I am willing to cooperate with you, but I have an agent named Ma Shanchao next to me, and he is not a member of your family. Quote. Gon Jume dismissed it and said, presumably it is just a human level agent. You don't need to worry about it. Once the forces behind him know that you become my agent of the Gon family, then there are only two choices, either to quit or just like the Gon family, promote you to God and give greater support. Quote. Yi Mingyi said, this is the case, presumably the first possibility is relatively large. Quote. So, big brother, you promised. Quote. Gon Jume asked eagerly. Yi Ming nodded. Of course I agreed. Quote. Gon Jume bowed her head and worshipped, I've seen my lord. Quote. Yi Ming was a bit surprised at the time. At the time, Ma Shanchao was only a human agent, so he respected him and called his protagonist. Unexpectedly, as a heaven-level agent, Gon Jume still called him the principal, and claimed to be her subordinate. Gon Jume smiled and raised her head and said, don't the principal let me get up. Quote. Yi Ming quickly lifted her up, and said, you don't have to call my protagonist, just call me Brother Yi. Gon Jume smiled. Hee, okay, I will call you Brother Yi later. Brother Yi, although there is not much money in the first year, only 1 trillion longevity coins, but as long as we work hard, we can definitely get more resources. Quote. At the moment, he said a pair of Yi Ming. 1 trillion is already a lot, and I will not let you down. Yi Ming said, the matter of our cooperation is set, and then I will say my thing. I have 88 places in the sword world. I hope you can help me auction off. Quote. Gon Jume wondered. How many places did you get into the sword world? Did you participate in that sword fight? Yi Ming. You know that, too. Gon Jume. Of course I know that our Gon family also sent someone, but it was a terrible defeat. And you actually got 88 places, at least in the top 300. Yi Ming did not hide. I am the 4th place. In addition to the quota, I also got a sword, a little god. What? 4th place? Gon Jume almost jumped up with an incredible expression. Yi Ming. What, is it unexpected? Gon Jume smiled bitterly. But I know that the forces participating in the sword fighting society, in addition to human races, have geniuses of 100 or even 3 major protoss. In this case, you can actually get the 4th. This is not it explain that you are the strongest human practitioner in the same realm. Quote. That may not be the case, there must be a lot of people who did not participate in the sword fight. Yi Ming didn't think there was anything remarkable, he was more concerned about how much money these places could sell. What price do you think can be sold for 88 places? he asked. Gan Jumei. Maybe, but it will definitely not be less than 500 billion yuan. If it is too high, maybe you can sell $1,000. Yi Ming nodded. Okay, I'll leave it to you. The second thing I need to do is to buy some tools to kill the flesh. Gan Jumei curiously said, the tool to kill the physical body. This kind of thing is very unpopular. We don't have many war civilizations. Even our 3 big families will not touch this one, because it does not make money. Yi Ming thinks about it too. After all, the pure means of killing the body is limited. Which power is not the power of God? What is the use of killing the body alone? When he was disappointed, Gan Jumei said, however, there is a Wen family in the war civilization. They have created such killing tools from generation to generation. I can take Brother Yi to ask. Yi Ming Yishi. Okay, let's not delay, go now. With Gan Jumei leading the way, Yi Ming soon came to the shop where Wen sold tools. Strangely enough, such a big family shop doesn't even have a signboard, but the customers are endless and the business is very hot. The two walked into the shop and saw that the area was very large. Except for the counter at the door, there were racks filled with various killing tools with different prices. Yi Ming turned around and found that the first layer sold all common goods, while the second layer was more expensive and the quantity was small. The third layer has the fewest things, and there are only a dozen things, and each one is guarded by someone. Although the things on the second layer are good, he is not satisfied, but the second layer is very eye-catching. Yi Ming first came to the nearest shelf with a metal ball, the size of 2 or 3 fists, showing a dark golden color. This person is very strong, and less said is also the level of the 6 heavens and 7th realm. He said, guest, this object is called the Fatian anti-blood needle, and it can send out 300,000 cow hair poison needles. These poison needles can penetrate into human blood vessels, pierce the internal organs and brain, and can cause death in a moment. Can this poisonous needle kill the immortal physical body? The other person shook his head. It is too difficult to kill the physical body of the eternal power. Even if it can be done, how can we break through the defenses? Yi Ming was disappointed immediately. He did not explain the environment of the underworld, but continued to look. But then he found that nothing was what he wanted. It seems we are in the wrong place. There is nothing we want here. He shook his head and was leaving with Gan Jumei. Just then, a young man came out of the corner. The young man had been looking down at the book before, but the guest came and ignored him, so Yi Ming didn't take it seriously. The young man came up and arched his hand. Under Wenda, I see that you haven't found what you need, so I want to ask, what kind of killing tools do you need? When Yi Ming saw the other party as the boss, he smiled and said, it turned out to be brother, and I have long been famous. I want some equipment that can kill the longevity body. I wonder if there is any here. Laughed. Of course there are, but they are not sold here. Haven't asked your name yet. This is to ask him about his history. If the history is not right, I'm afraid it will be difficult to buy what he needs. Gan Jumei said, I am Gan Jumei, a member of the Gan family. This is my cousin, and I am here to accompany him to buy some utensils. Wen Renda quickly arched his hand. It turned out to be Miss Gan. The villain has long heard of the name of Ju Jumei. Today, I am lucky to have 3 lives. Since it is Miss Gan's cousin, there is naturally no problem. I come. Wen Renda took Yi Ming to leave the shop, walked a short distance, and entered a large yard. Yi Ming and Gan Jumei first waited for a while in the living room in the courtyard. It didn't take long for someone to walk out with 6 plates, each with the same utensils. Wen Renda laughed. Sir, this kind of high-end equipment is rare. Right now I hear that there are only 6 of them. They are all left by the ancestors. These things are expensive and it is difficult to break through the defense of long life. It really hurts his body, so few people are willing to buy it. Yi Ming quickly said, I just need something like this, let me see. Wen Renda took a plate with a strange lamp on it. It is strange to say that it looks like a watering can with a handle on one side and the wick on the top. The wick did not know what it was made of, and a bean-shaped blue flame was burning quietly, motionless, like a sculpture. When Renda held a light pot and laughed. This thing is called Sky Burning Pot. It is made of special materials and is used to carry the world's burning fire that burns the sky burning. To use this pot, just press the organ, a fire dragon can be sprayed out of the pot, instantly engulfing the enemy. Quote. Yi Ming asked. I wonder if I can try it once. When Renda was embarrassed, and said, the flame in the sky burning pot can only be used 9 times, and it has been used twice at the beginning of casting, so there are only 7 opportunities left. Ming thought about it, and felt that it was not too late to try it after buying it, so he asked, value is this thing? When Renda laughed. I heard people, but the 6 treasures of the town house, the price is naturally very expensive. The cost of burning the Tianyu pot was more than 100 billion long-lived coins. As for the price, it will only be higher. Quote. Gan Jume came from the Gan family and was born to do business. She sneered. Are you guys joking? If I have 100 billion yuan, I can buy a 9-star battleship. Who would buy this one? Broken lights. Quote. When Renda smiled awkwardly. Although it has been used, the fire of extinction is very rare, this pot is the only one in the world. The rare thing is the most expensive thing, so the price cannot be lower. Sister Ganju snorted. Everyone understands people. It's better to be cool when you hear your brother, otherwise my cousin will be scared away. You can't do this business. When Renda sighed. Okay, I think both of them are experts, I will let 20%, 80 billion, really no less. Gan Jume laughed. Don't worry, my cousin may not just buy the same thing. If you buy a few more, you also need to get a discount when you hear what the brother is doing. When I heard about Renda, how many more should I buy? He looked at Yi Ming again and suddenly laughed. If you buy 3 or more, I can give you a 10% discount on the final price. Yi Ming said lightly. Not in a hurry, look the same. When Renda brought the second thing. This is a metal tube that is as thick as an arm and a foot long, with an ancient inscription on it. At one end of the metal tube, there are numerous fine holes, which are so small that even Yi Ming's naked eyes can hardly see them, and the inside has a complicated structure. When Renda's expression was solemn, and he said, this name is called Luo Fei's cracked needle, and it was created by the master of the ancient smelter Oyi Sheng gathering the world's rare treasures. Just press the organ and shoot 30,000 split-shaped magic needles. This split-shaped magic needle is invisible and quality-less, such as light smoke, like catkins, its indefinite movement, dense, it is invincible. On each split-shaped magic needle, there is a hidden force in it, which is triggered immediately. A small needle can rupture the earth, sever mountains. And its power is horrible. In terms of power, this fisher-shaped needle is still above the heavenly pot. Quote. Yi Ming could not see any expression on his face, but asked, what about the price? When Renda. 350 billion yuan of longevity coins, and never bargain. Gan Jume said, why brother, how old is wrong again? 350 billion is too high. I think it is up to 200 billion. When Renda almost jumped up. 200 billion yuan. I think the second one will come back. Yi Ming smiled slightly. Sitting on the ground to start the price and return the money on the ground, you don't need to be angry when you hear that. I'll add you another 50 billion yuan, 250 billion yuan, what do you think? When Renda asked, do you want the former Skyburn pot? Yi Ming. Naturally. When Renda turned his eyes and said, let's make it clear, if you buy more than 3, I can still get a 10% discount. At that time, please don't continue with other requirements. Gan Jume sneered. How can we make a profit when we hear that brother is so cautious? When Ren Dagon laughed and took out the third piece. This is a flute, which can make strange sounds, thus destroying the tangible things. Yi Ming only listened to the introduction, and he lost his willingness to buy. Although the power of this flute is not weak, if you want to deal with the power of longevity, it is a little bit worse. The fourth piece is a brick, square and square, with dark golden runes on it. It is extremely heavy to start with, and it is also worth hundreds of millions of pounds. Wen Renda. This thing is unnamed, which I accidentally obtained in the endless void. Once this thing is urged, the weight can increase 10 million times and produce a terrible shock. If you hit it with it, nothing will break. It is indestructible. Quote. What's the price? Gan Jume asked. 80 billion. Wen Renda laughed. This is the cheapest. It's just a brick, and Wenren thinks that anyone would be stupid waiting to be photographed. I see, 30 billion is enough. Gan Jume continued to bargain. Wen Renda hesitated for a moment and said, if you really intend 50 billion yuan, this is already the lowest price, and you can't let it go. Yi Ming said, okay, just press 50 billion. The fifth thing is a gourd that can spit out poisonous mist. Yi Ming considered giving up repeatedly. Poisonous mist is not easy to control, and once it encounters avoiding poison, it can't pose a threat. The sixth thing made him very interested. It was a black mud, releasing a strange breath. Wen Renda explained. This is Ruyi God Mud. The world is such a piece, it can be used to repair any magic weapon in the world. You have bought so many treasures, this God Mud is a must-have. Yi Ming asked, how much is it? 130 billion. Yi Ming. 80 billion yuan, one price. If you sell, I will buy it. Renda thought about it and gritted his teeth. Okay, 80 billion yuan. How many of these buy? Yi Ming. Burning the sky pot, falling feather cracked needles, square bricks, and Ruyi Shenmu, the total price is 460 billion yuan, and a 10% discount is 414 billion long-lived coins. Wen Renda smiled and said, exactly. Yi Ming immediately took out the ring, put 414 billion long-lived coins into it, and handed it to Wen Renda. The latter examined it, and smiled, Your Excellency, please take good things. Yi Ming put away the 4 items and got up to leave. He originally had more than 550 billion yuan, but today he spends most of it, leaving only 140 billion yuan. However, he was not very worried about money. Whether it was the Linguo business or the war business, he would make a lot of money in the future. Moreover, he is still God, and every year there is less to say that there is a trillion yuan of input. The two returned to the inn, and Yi Ming immediately took out Ruyi's stick and the broken sword. The Ruyi stick is an object taken from the ear of the Emperor Xingtian. The origin is unknown, but the power is great and the change is as desired. The broken sword was bought by him at an auction of the 3 Emperors' World for 20 billion yuan. This sword is extremely sharp and can cut everything. Most of the sword was broken, and only 3 inches remained. Yi Ming will change the Ruyi stick out of the groove, and then insert the hilt. Then, he pressed the Ruyi God Mud on the Ruyi stick to run the Yuanying, and the Ruyi God Mud wrapped the Ruyi stick, creating a wonderful change inside. The broken blade actually gave birth to a sharp blade, which changed from a broken sword to a 3-pointed 2-edged blade. Moreover, Ruyi Shenmu perfectly blends Ruyi stick and broken sword together, and this 3.2-edged sword is also its most perfect state. After Ruyi Shenmu had completely solidified, Yi Ming had a 3-pointed 2-edged knife in his hand. This weapon is 2 meters long, the blade can cut everything, and it is extremely sharp. Yi Ming swings at will, the sky is dazzling and the cold is formidable. Gan Jume has been watching, she couldn't help but said, good weapon. If this weapon is kept alive, it will cost 500 billion if you don't talk about it. Yi Ming smiled and said, there has been no weapon in hand, and now it finally does. With the help of Ruyi God Mud, this weapon fits his hand very well. Gan Jume. No wonder you want to buy Ruyi God Mud, it was originally planned. Yi Ming. The things I want to buy have already been bought. I want to leave for a while. Gan Jume. I will go with Brother Yi. Yi Ming. No hurry, you help me sell the Sword World quota, and then go to the Tianyuan continent. Once there, you go directly to Tiandaomen and someone will answer you. Where is Brother Yi going? Can I go together? Gan Jume asked. Yi Ming. The place I'm going to is dangerous, you still don't want to go there. Although Ganjume wanted to leave earlier, it did take time to sell the place in the sword world. She had to say, "Well, Brother Yi is careful, I will go to Tianyuan mainland soon." Farewell to Ganjume, the time and space boy took Yi Ming directly to the underworld. Yi Ming didn't even have time to see what Huang Quanqi looked like, so he was taken into the underworld. As soon as he entered the underworld, he suddenly felt that his breath of life was being severely suppressed, his breathing became extremely slow, and his heartbeat almost stopped. The ubiquitous pressure of terror made his Yuanying seem dead and still. Sure enough, I can only spur the power of the physical body, I can hardly think. Yi Ming's face was pale, and he couldn't help talking, saying it word by word. Time and Space Boy followed Yi Ming and said, "You better adapt to the environment here, because it will have an advantage over the later ones." Yi Ming nodded, and began to get used to the lack of Yuanying's power, and relied purely on physical action. The environment around him is very weird, and there is a vast expanse of white everywhere, unable to distinguish dreams from reality. Even the ground is a grayish-white phosgene, seemingly real. Although the environment of the underworld was strange and weird, he quickly adjusted and walked and became normal. About a day later, something suddenly popped into his mind. This information was obtained from the blood of the human head at the bottom of the Xuantian continental lake by using blood elemental magic. This skull belongs to the human ancestor brother and is owned by the Emperor Xingtian. The power is naturally extraordinary. The extreme supreme gong he cultivated was found in the memory of the skull. The strange environment of the underworld triggered a new memory, a technique called Great Eternity, that slowly spread in his mind. There are 9 major eternal immortal exercises. When you practice to the first, you can cultivate the eternal power in the body. The eternal power can be immortal and is not affected by the law. In other words, if Yi Ming can cultivate the power of eternity, he can use all his methods in the underworld normally, whether it is supernatural powers or martial arts, it will not be affected by the underworld environment. Actually, there is such a method. Yi Ming immediately rejoiced, and immediately started practicing. Only this practice understands that this great eternal power can only be cultivated in the extreme environment of the underworld. If it is in normal time and space, it will not be able to cultivate this kind of merit. Time and space, I need time, but for the remaining 2 days, I can't practice to the first. He suddenly said, "Can you help me?" Time and Space Boy said, "Your soul has been cultivated in a different space and has spent hundreds of thousands of years. This is a burden on you and will one day affect your normal cultivation." Yi Ming still remembers that there is not much training time left for him to adjust the speed. There are only millennia left. He asked, "Is there a solution?" "Of course there is, and it is not difficult for me. The difficulty is that when I help you to correct the rules of time, you will suffer great pain." Time and Space Boy said. "Time and Space Boy, after I have corrected and adjusted the rules of time in your soul, you will adjust the different degrees of time and practice in time and space. There will never be any negative effects." After hearing what he said, Yi Ming was startled. He knew the truth of selflessness. How much benefit do you have to pay? How severe is that pain? Sure enough, the Time and Space Boy said, "In addition to suffering, you also have to pay a sum of money for my rapid travel through time and space." Yi Ming's heart was pounding. "How much do you want?" Yi Ming suddenly had a black line on his face. 1 trillion long-lived coins. Where can I find so much money? Time and Space Boy. Don't worry, this money can be paid back slowly. Don't you want to sell a place in the sword industry? Isn't there still a 1 trillion yuan support from Ganjume every year? Yi Ming stared at him and asked, "Time Boy, don't you intentionally pit me?" Time and Space Boy is furious. "I pit you. Others want me to pit. My little master is not interested yet." Yi Ming smiled bitterly. "Forget it, you can say as much as you want. But I only have 140 billion yuan. I'll give you 100 billion yuan first, and the resto first." Time and Space Boy. "No matter, I will consume some physical strength first, and then I will make up for it later, without loss." Before Yi Ming could speak again, the space-time boy turned into a black vortex and entangled Yi Ming. In the black vortex, Yi Ming felt that the soul and body were torn apart, and that pain was hundreds to thousands of times stronger than this. The severe pain made him unbearable, and he screamed screamingly. Ruyi robe, he shouted. Ming immediately opened the joyful dafa of Ruyi robe, so the boundless pain immediately transformed into boundless happiness, and Yi Ming became more comfortable all at once. The time and space boy cried, "What is this? Turn pain into happiness." Yi Ming laughed. The so-called pain and happiness are ripples in the soul. What's the difference between the two? The boy in time and space was speechless, and Yi Ming would suffer from this in the future, and he could use this trick to resolve it, which was really ridiculous. The merry feeling is getting weaker and weaker, which shows that the pain is also lessening. I don't know how long after that, he suddenly felt relaxed physically and mentally, and seemed to release some kind of shackles. Time and space boy, it's done. For a while, Yi Ming entered a small boxy space. This is the time enchantment under the cloth of time and space. The time in the enchantment can be controlled at will. And space boy, easy, 1 hour outside and 100 years inside, enough for you. Next moment, Yi Ming suddenly felt the time gap between the outside and inside. The outside is as slow as a snail, while the time in a square space is normal. How can this be? He asked in surprise. Time and space boy. This is your ability to buy 1,000,000,000,000 yuan, you can sense the change in time. Because you can sense time, no amount of time adjustment can affect your practice. Yi Ming smiled. It seems that this trillion has no white flowers, thank you for your time and space boy. You're taking advantage. If you change someone else, don't say 1 trillion. 10 trillion don't want to let the little man do it. The boy of time and space hummed and said. Yi Ming smiled, didn't say anything, and immediately started practicing the Great Eternity. With his amazing qualifications and the understanding of the 9 yuan abacus array, it took a full 60 years to rebuild the first, and cultivated eternal power in the body. After the first restoration, his power of Yuan Ying can be transformed into eternal power. In this way, the rules of ***** cannot be suppressed by him. In the square space, he opened his eyes, and a bright yellow light appeared from his body, which was the eternal power. The power of eternity attached to the flesh, not only did not reduce his strength, but was stronger than when outside. After all, the power of eternity is more extraordinary than the power of Yuan Ying. The space-time boy immediately sent him out of the square space and returned to the underworld realm. The pressure is still there, but it has no effect on him. Regardless of supernatural powers and spells, he can exert his mood without being suppressed. He laughed loudly, holding a 3-pointed and 2-edged sword, standing up to 1,000 meters, and dancing a sword flower. While practicing the knife, secretly using the power of eternity to imitate the true power of Guiyuan, almost overnight. What shocked him is that Guiyuan Great Force, which is simulated by eternal power, is actually more powerful than the original Guiyuan Great Force. Next, with the help of eternal power, he exerted many magical powers, such as Lingtian Strike, Great Sacrifice, Zhaotian Sword Wheel, Bloodlight Kill, Stealing Claw, Heavenly Healing, and Invincible Body. And his martial arts skills have also improved. Time and Space Boy laughed. With your current means, there is a complete opportunity to kill the power of longevity. Yi Ming nodded. Under the repression of the rules of the underworld, the power of longevity can only exert physical power. Although the body of the eternal life is arrogant, it is only physical strength after all, and it may not be much stronger than Yi Ming, who broke out. He continued to adapt to the power of eternity, and performed all the magical powers and martial arts again, and was extremely satisfied inside. Unconsciously, the time has come to agree with Yi Shantian. The boy of time and space took him, and went to Wangquanqi near the place where he entered the underworld, waiting for Emperor Shang's group to appear. After waiting for a long time, a white light appeared in the open space, and the eyes could not be opened. After the white light disappeared, Yi Ming saw Emperor Shang appearing with 6 people, including Yi Shantian, and the remaining 5 people only knew one Guo Tado. The remaining 4 were actually not weak, as if they were not under Guo. After the party appeared, they all stood still and seemed to be adapting to the rules of the underworld. After half a quarter of an hour, Emperor Shang said, "Brother Yi, let's go." Yi Shantian nodded. "Please lead the way." At the moment, 7 people flew up and flew on the land alone like electricity. In a secret space, Yi Ming stared at the crowd tightly, and ordered the time and space boy to follow closely. The means of the gates of time and space are very sophisticated, and Di Shang and others cannot even detect their existence at all. It seems that they are forbidden to live. Yi Ming said. Time and space boys. It's really a group of lunatics. Even with live sacrifices, the forbidden ground is still dangerous. Are they not afraid of death? Yi Ming. The old saying is good, people are not rich or rich, horses are not rich in grass. If the benefits are big enough, even the greatest danger is worth taking. It didn't take long to speak, the environment in front of it changed, and a lush mountain range appeared in the white surroundings. What's even more weird is that there is actually a sun over the mountains, and the sun's light only illuminates the mountains, and never leaks out half a point. Although the mountain is located in the underworld, it seems to be located in another world, which is clearly separated from the outside world. Emperor Shang stopped in the mountains near him. Yi Shantian did not wait for the emperor to open his mouth, and began to set up altars and rituals around him. This process became very time-consuming because of the inability to use the power of the divine infant, and even the other 6, including Dixiong, began to help out. Time passed by every minute and every 3 days, and a huge altar was built. On the altar, there is a magic circle, which is very complicated and mysterious. Yi Ming peered in secret and saw that the magic array was so weird that he had never heard of it, never seen it before. On the 4th day, Yi Shantian finally said, "It's done." Emperor Shang nodded, and as soon as he waved his sleeve, a portal appeared on the altar. The portal is huge, simple and majestic. As soon as it appeared, a light curtain appeared in the door. Countless boys and girls came out of it, all of them were around 10 years old. Time and Space Boy said, "This is a space portal. I don't know where these children come from." Yi Ming frowned, and said, "This emperor really doesn't take human life seriously. He actually has to sacrifice so many living people. And Space Boy, ordinary people's lives are in the eyes of these powers, not even." The gate rushed out of a large number of people, and as soon as they came out, they were hanged by the French array, turned into blood mist, and gathered above them into a huge vortex, growing larger and larger. What if it is broken? They will build a second one. And once exposed, we will not be able to follow up. Time and Space Boy said, not agreeing with Yi Ming at all. Unconsciously, 100,000 boys and girls have been twisted into blood mud, and the blood vortex gathered has covered the whole mountain area, like a cloud of blood. The blood-colored vortex spins rapidly, creating a strange connection with the forbidden land of life. Boom! Countless blood-colored light curtains fell and entered the forbidden area of life. Life forbidden a blood light, a crystal door slowly opened. Emperor Shang, laughed and said, "Success. Go." He was elected to enter the forbidden area of life, and the other 6 also followed. Time and Space Boy followed closely and quietly followed in entering the forbidden area of life. He immediately felt that the environment here was very different from the environment of the underworld, but rather similar to the environment of the sun. Especially when the sun shines on my body, I feel very comfortable. On the other side, Yi Shantian was holding a complicated compass and was looking for something seriously. Yi Ming was far away and could not see the difference. He just felt that the compass was amazing, and the breath that seemed to shake the rules of hell. Its breath is so strong that even Shangshang is not worth mentioning in front of it. What is it? He couldn't help but ask the boy of time and space, and felt that it was amazing. Time and Space Boy shocked and said, "Is it a compass of fate?" Yi Ming. Fate compass. The 3 emperors worked together to create a semi-forged artifact, hoping to use it to cultivate a powerful heir. It is the compass of fate. I never expected that this compass of fate would appear in the hands of this person. He was really lucky. People. Quote. Said Time and Space Boy. Yi Ming burst out in his heart. What is the use of this destiny compass? Boy of time and space. The compass of destiny can guide those who use it to avoid evil, and when it's bad, they will be killed. Those who get the compass of fate will surely meet again and again. Forbidden life. There is a compass for life. Quote. While talking, the compass of life emits a thin strange light, and shoots into the distance. Yi Shantian and his party rushed there immediately, as fast as they could. Yi Ming's heart jumped. The boy of time and space also shouted, "That's the light of fate, Yi Ming will hurry up in front of them. There must be a spiritual source there." The boy of time and space lost the ability to open the space at will, so he had to release Yi Ming. Wherever Yi Ming dared to delay, he immediately urged the eternal power and rushed to the direction pointed by the rays of light. No matter how strong Emperor Shang and others can only use physical strength to rush, how can it be compared to Yi Ming's puppet surgery? In an instant, Yi Ming entered a strange area with crystals all over. Countless crystals are pulled from the ground, the outermost is red, the orange is inward, then the yellow, green, and blue, until the most central purple crystal. The closer to the purple crystal, the more Yi Ming could feel the breath of life. Time is precious. If the emperor arrives, he will not take it. Yi Ming immediately came to the center and quickly searched. Finally, he found that in the center of the purple crystal, a white phantom was suspended. This spirit stone is the size of a calf, with tips on it, and 8 holes in the bottom. Countless spirits gathered from all directions and entered Juchao, and white turbid gas was ejected from the 8 holes. This is the spiritual source? Yi Ming asked in surprise. He felt the tremendous vitality from this inspiration, even the power of the longevity could not be compared with it. He couldn't think too much. As soon as he waved his sleeve, he put the spirit stone into the ring, and then he swung out hundreds of miles away. After Yi Ming left, less than half a quarter of an hour, Emperor Shang and others also rushed forward. When they saw colorful crystals everywhere, they immediately appeared happy, and rushed to the area of purple crystals. However, no matter how round their eyes were, they failed to find the spiritual source, as expected. How can there be no source of spirit? Is there a difference in the destiny compass? Dixiang said wonderingly. His eyes fell on Yi Shantian. Yi Shantian looked freely and said, "The spiritual source swallowed the spiritual sun and self-supported. Once the spiritual intelligence is generated, it can be auspicious and avoid evil. Maybe it senses our will, so flee the place in advance." Emperor Shang nodded and said, "Anyway, run away one, and we will find the next one. I know the origin of this forbidden area of life, and there are 3 sources of spirituality in it." Yi Shantian nodded, and he took out the compass of fate again, and continued to search for the next source of spirit. But he said that shortly after Yi Ming left, the time-space boy said, "Master, absorb the source quickly, or you will be noticed." Yi Ming thinks so too. The other party has a compass for destiny. If the spiritual source is not absorbed first, the emperor will come to the door sooner or later, and then it will be troublesome. He immediately took out the spirit stone and asked, "How should this source be absorbed?" Time and space boy. Simple, infiltrate your strength, the inner spirit will naturally flow into your soul, thereby improving your qualifications. Hearing that, he immediately pressed his palms on the spirit stone, and the eternal power penetrated into it in a short time. He felt the innocent breath of breath, flowing into his body from both palms, and infused into his soul. This process is very rapid and a few breaths are over. But in his feeling, it seemed as if he had spent 100 years. When the cooling sensation disappeared, it was followed by a majestic and warm power that poured into his body. Makes his strength continue to rise, doubled, 5 times, and finally reached 10 times the original. Click. When this enthusiastic force was also injected, the spirit stone broke apart and turned into a pile of powder. Yi Ming asked in surprise, "I seem to have absorbed 2 energies in time and space." Time and space boy has a very uncultured expression, saying, "This spirit source contains not only the spirit child, but also the sperm that it has cultivated." The value of this sperm is not under the spirit, it's a big deal. Quote. Yi Mingxin was puzzled and asked, I can absorb the spirits in the source, can I also absorb the spirits everywhere in the void? Of course not, said the time and space boy. First of all, the spiritual sun in the void is very thin. The formation of this spiritual source you absorbed has been said to be hundreds of millions of years old. And after being absorbed by it, it will be its sperm or domesticated and become easily absorbed. The spirits scattered in the void cannot be absorbed. Quote. Yi Ming was in a good mood and said, Lingxi and Jingyuan have not completely absorbed it for me. I feel that my changes have been tremendous. I should now be a high-quality Taoist body, and maybe there will be a major breakthrough in the future. Time and Space Boy nodded. That's right, of course, you have a chance to become the supreme body in the future. Yi Ming heard the supreme body for the second time and said, isn't it saying that the supreme body is a combination of all dimensions, and only one in 100,000 years? Can it be achieved so easily? Boys of time and space. More than that, although the supreme body is born every 100,000 years, they are often difficult to survive, and most of them have died. However, there are many pseudo-supreme bodies in this world. Yi Mingqi said, what is the body of the pseudo-supreme? Some people's qualifications have driven away the superior body, but they can't reach the supreme body, so they have no eyesight, and think that it is the supreme body. Well, the true supreme body is so easy to appear, they just want to go. Quote. Yi Ming rubbed his nose. So, I will first become a pseudo-supreme body, and then I will have the opportunity to impact the supreme body. Time and Space Boy. In fact, the body of the pseudo-extreme, called the King of the Gods in the Protoss, is also very remarkable. After a few chats, Yi Ming came to Yi Shantian again, and saw that Di Shang and others started to search for the spiritual source again. But strangely, no matter how they went to find it, the compass of fate no longer indicated the direction of the spirit source. 1 hour, 2 hours, half a day passed. Dixiang finally couldn't bear it, and asked sternly, Brother Yi, why did the compass of fate fail? Yi Shantian was silent for a moment and said, this shows that Lingyuan is no longer here. Impossible. Lingyuan cannot leave the forbidden area of life by himself. Di Shang said, if the fate compass cannot find them, then there is only one possibility. Lingyuan has already been taken. Yi Shantian was expressionless, and said lightly, what does the emperor mean? Dixiang stared at him. I mean, only 7 of us know this, and it's impossible for the other 6 to betray me except you. Yi Shantian looked as usual. The emperor's meaning is that I leak the news to make it easy for people to come first. Isn't it? Dixiang stretched his arms around Yi Shantian's neck and lifted him up. Say, who else is here? Yi Shantian laughed. Ha ha, Dixiang is indeed Dixiang, and I discovered it so soon. Yes, I disclosed the news to Yuan Shantian. He has taken one step ahead of you and took away the source of spirit. Huh, yes, with the help of Lingyuan, Yuan Shantian could easily enter the longevity 9 realms. By then, your emperor might not be his opponent. Quote. Dixiang roared, you asterisk 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 it. Click. Outraged, Yi was congenitally fractured. However, there was no panic on his face, so he hint of sarcasm. His arms fell weakly, and the compass of fate fell to the ground. I said, bring me the Lord and give you countless futures. Enemy with you will make you dead without a corpse. Emperor Shang yelled. His arm trembled. Yi burst into blood mist and died on the spot. Damn. When Yi Ming saw this scene, he was sad and angry, and when he shouted, he appeared in the sky over the crowd. He raised his hand and dumped the celestial pot down. The raging fire of world destruction covered 100 miles and rolled down. The crowd was taken aback. They did not see Yi Mingzhen, but just saw the flames of the sky fall. The Guo Tato did not know that this was the fire of annihilation, and shouted, where's the hair thief? With that said, he actually opened his mouth, and a gust of wind fell back, trying to blow the fire away. Strangely, however, the flame of extinction saw the wind fall faster and more vigorously. Be careful. Emperor Shang's face changed, and quickly reminded. At the same time, he opened a large golden umbrella and took the flame. However, the world's fire burned everything, and the umbrella began to show signs of melting. This is the fire of annihilation. Guo Tato finally saw the clue. His face changed, and all 7 were crowded under the umbrella, afraid to go out. Yi Ming was standing over the sky. He sneered, and threw his hand to throw the falling feather-cracked needle down. Stimulating eternal power, the invisible hand opened the mechanism, and after the syringe fell under the umbrella, it aimed at 7 people under the umbrella. Emperor Shang responded the most. He flickered left and right, and the other 6 people seemed to be caught by invisible hands, and surrounded him in groups. The split-shaped needles shot in all directions fell on 6 people, but he was safe and sound. What? When the cracked pin was shot, the square gold brick also came from behind silently under the control of eternal power.
Emperor Shang had to guard against the fire and rain above him, and at the same time he had to be careful if there was still a needle shot. In addition, he could only use physical induction to get hit. He just felt a pain in his head, and he fell aside. But he was extremely experienced, and as he fell to the ground, he wrapped a gray cloth around him. Strangely enough, the world-defying fire, which fell on top of this ragged cloth, went out immediately. The golden umbrella had already been burned, and the emperor was wrapped in a broken felt, and with both feet kicking, he flew up like lightning, and instantly broke out of the fire and rain. Yi Ming knew that he couldn't keep the other party today, and quickly picked up the compass of fate, and then a flying slug came to the entrance and escaped. As soon as his men came out, he took out the 3-pointed and 2-edged sword and smashed it hard towards the altar. His strength increased tenfold, and the 3-pointed and 2-edged sword was a murder weapon. He heard a loud noise, the altar was immediately destroyed, and the portal was closed at once. In this way, Emperor Shang was trapped inside, at least not for a short time. Master, the disciple cannot cut his enemies today, and he will be cut under the sword in the future. He glanced at the forbidden area of life, and immediately ordered the space-time boy to take him out of the underworld. Almost instantly, Yi Ming returned to Wushan Valley. He was meditating in the courtyard as usual. The trip to the underworld has gained a lot, the quality of the body and the power has increased sharply. He feels that it is time to impact the martial arts realm. A long time ago, Yi Ming touched the margin of Wushen and sent a kick. At this time, his qualifications improved sharply, and some doubts before him suddenly opened up. He suddenly understood how to go next. However, in order to truly become a warrior, he needs at least a year to reach it. Boom. A spirit of energy rushed out of Yi Ming, who was sitting on the plate. This spirit is as mighty as a river, piercing the sky straight, smashing clouds, and stirring thunder. In a short time, within 1,000 miles, the wind and the clouds turned and the world changed colors. The entire Wushan Valley was shocked, and countless eyes were cast on the place where Qimingtang Yi Ming lived. Is this someone going to break through? A big battle. Is it going to cause disaster? Someone exclaimed. Because the movements made by Yiming are too big, generally only those who have the ability to advance into a long life can do so. To enter the longevity position, you need to go through the baptism of heaven. The speaker is mistaken for Yiming to break through to the longevity position. In fact, where do these people know, Yiming's emanating energy is just a part of the momentum revealed by his practice of chaos. At the beginning, he condensed the Wu soul, and based on the 6 chapters of Chaos Arithmetic, he condensed the Sacred Sword Array of the Rune chapter, the Cause and Effect Ring of the Cause and Effect chapter, the Ruyi Stick of the Mingwen chapter, and the Arithmetic Arithmetic of the Math chapter, the Eye of Hope in the Fortune chapter, the Tianxinju in the Tianxin chapter. He condensed the soul shape with 6 chapters of chaos calculation. Once condensed in the future, he could integrate the 6 shapes into the chaos. However, the current Yiming is not the same as before, and can further supplement the elementary infant and prepare for the advanced sacred position of the martial arts. The first thing Yiming needs to do is to further improve the level of Tianxinju. The Tianxin chapter corresponding to the Tianxinju is the core of the chaos scripture. The Tianxinju has 33 layers. The first 6 can carry the will of the heavenly continent. After the 6th, it can carry the will of other big worlds. Carrying the will of the heavens, after the 24th epoch, the only one bearing the same will of heaven. And after 33 times, he turned into the pearl of heaven and possessed unpredictable power. The chaos abacus can continuously advance, and its core is Tianxinju. Chaotic scriptures of the first order correspond to the 1st to 6th celestial beads, chaotic scriptures of the second order correspond to celestial beads of the 7th to 12 orders, chaotic scriptures of the third order correspond to 13 to 24 folds. Tianxinju, and so on. Yiming has already gathered Yuan Ying, but he hasn't cultivated Tianxinju very much, only to the 3rd. Now that he has obtained a spiritual source, his qualifications have been improved, and he has a 10 yuan calculation team. It is really easier to cultivate the heart beads this day. 2 months later, Yiming practiced with all his heart, and successfully cultivated Tianxinju to the 7th level, and possessed the ability to carry the will of other big worlds. 7th Heavenly Heart Bead, the change he feels is that he can sense and communicate God's will, and will not be hostile and rejected by God's will. This ability looks like chicken ribs, but it is actually very useful. Imagine that in the future, Yiming enters an unfamiliar big world, and he can communicate the local providence for the first time, so that he has enough knowledge of that big world. For example, he entered the sword world, and compared with others, he also received the blessing of the sword world. But he has the 7th heaviest celestial heart bead, which can fully absorb the divine will and then make full use of it. In contrast, other geniuses without Tianxinju are not so lucky. They can show up to 1% of their will. Originally, Yiming had to raise the Eye of Hope and then integrate it into the celestial heart. There are only 3 volumes of chaos in the second order, one of which is originally a fusion of the Tianxin chapter and the Yunxi chapter, which is called Shibu. The other 2 chapters are the department of fusion of the Shushu chapter and the cause and effect chapter. What Yiming needs to do before he ascends to the holy position is to condense the 3 parts of chaos to prepare for the ascension of the Valkyrie. After Valkyrie, he had a chance to step into the third order chaos. However, Yiming had to pause for a while, because Chengxian Road was about to open. Chengxian Road, Legendary Academy, and Trial Road are 3 ways to cultivate human genius. Chengxian Road is mainly helpful to Shinto monks. Although Yiming was martial arts, but its mountain stones can attack jade, he decided to go to Chengxian Road and see the so-called Shinto. Chengxian Road is the first strongest Shinto. The only emperor has developed it in order to carry the juniors and bring more people to the Shinto road. It has to be said that Shinto practice is the most common practice in all major worlds. Whether it is immortal, Confucian, Buddhist, or martial arts, witchcraft, etc. Monks often have to embark on the road of Shinto practice at a crucial step. For example, Yi Shantian, despite his excellent qualifications, he finally reluctantly chose Shinto and gave up martial arts. In contrast, the road to martial arts has become very rare, or there will be no Valkyrie Valley. All things in the world have causes and consequences. Most people choose Shinto because it is the most popular and perfect Shinto practice. It has a high chance of success and a fast practice. Even the many civilizations born of the human race have all borrowed from the practice of Shinto. Such as Buddhism, Confucianism, and even martial arts. This time, Yi Ming decided to bring his personal disciples and set foot on the road to becoming and let them have a long experience. However, there are only 2 places in Chungshan Road in his hand. If you want more, you can only buy them. Out of the 7 Killing Hall, Yi Ming came to Wushan Valley's only multi-treasure building. Duobaolo sells almost everything, in fact, it includes the quota of Chungshanlu. In fact, there is no limit on the number of people who can enter, but it is impossible for anyone to enter. High road qualifications can brush a large number of people down. When he arrived at Duobaolo, Yi Ming asked about the price, and he got a place with a price of up to 1 billion legal days, which is not something ordinary people can consume. He immediately bought 10 and returned to Tiandaomen. Tiandaomen has developed rapidly in recent years, and several personally disclosed disciples have entered the country at a rapid rate. After returning, Yi Ming's first sight was a small death, the patron saint of Tiandaomen. Want me to go to God's way? Xiaoxi looked at Yi Ming. Why go? I have my own. It's not a bad thing to look at more. Yi Ming said, you can rest assured that there are Juxing Fidian and Juxing battleships sitting in town, and no one is asking for trouble. Besides, even if there is trouble, we can get back in the first time, but sometimes I am empty boy. Xiaoxi thought for a while, and said, okay. I do have some doubts in my practice, and it is Shinto that I walk, so it's okay to take a look. Yi Ming, not only do you have to go and see, I hope you can come to the end. I heard a friend said that at the end of Chungshan Road, you can see the only emperor. He is the first master of Shinto. Yi Ming nodded. Naturally, he is a figure with the same old antiques as the 3 emperors, and he must have been eternal. Little death. If it is eternal, I can ask him some questions. After discussing with Xiaoshan, Yi Ming summoned the 8 disciples. Tang Yuansheng, Wu Yuanji, Yi Yuanwang, Yi Yuanlang, Su Yuanjun, Pan Yuanlong, Bai Yuanxian, Gan Yuanjian. These 8 personally disciplined disciples entered the sacred place at a rapid speed, and they were repaired faster than Yi Ming. Everyone heard that they wanted to enter the path of becoming a god, and they were all eager to try. Yi Yuanwang, Yi Yuanlang, and Gan Yuanjian were very interested in Shinto. Master, what are the benefits of becoming a god? Gan Yuanjian asked. Formerly known as Gandhi, he was a genius of martial arts on the earth of India. Yi Ming, on the way to becoming a god, there are many footprints left by powerful Shintos. This will help you to practice Shinto in the future. In addition, the sages have left a lot of treasures for those who have fate. When they heard that there was a treasure, everyone's eyes brightened. Yi Ming didn't finish his words, saying, you can choose to go to Chungshan Road or not. If you don't go to Chungshan Road, you can go to Trial Road or Legendary Late Night. These 3 roads, you choose. After that, he explained in detail the differences between the 3 paths. Tang Yuan Shangdao, the legendary school was established by the 3 emperors, and I hope to go there. Later, Su Yuanjun and Bai Yuanxian also expressed their willingness to go to the legendary school, but refused to go to Chungshan Road. In addition, Wu Yuanji and Pan Yuanlong have other ideas. They hope to try their luck on the Trial Road. After listening to everyone's thoughts, Yi Ming said, "Soon, I will join the legendary academy, and I will get a recommended place, and it is not difficult for you to enter. As for whether you can enter the trial road, it depends on your luck. In a moment, I will take you virtual heaven to see if it can be chosen by heaven." It was not difficult to enter the Xingtian realm. Yi Ming had Xingtianling in his hands, and immediately brought Wu Yuanji and Pan Yuanlong. When he arrived in the virtual heaven, he contacted the remaining heavenly will for the first time. "Good luck this time," and after half a quarter of an hour, the will of heaven responded. "Tester, you have finally appeared again. Your trial road has not yet been completed, but the next trial has not yet started. What are you doing here?" Tianting Will asked. A miraculous force swept across Pan Yuanlong and Wu Yuanji. The two had a feeling of being completely empty, and their hearts were extremely uncomfortable. "Their qualifications are very good. Although they are not as good as you, they are indeed eligible to join the trial road." In this way, the number of testers in the Tianyuan mainland has increased to 9, which is a good sign. "Recent geniuses have emerged in Tianyuan mainland recently. I am very pleased." Tianting. Yi Ming nodded. "Which is the case, let him and the two undergo the trial." Celestial Will. There just happened to be a trial ground that just opened. It was very suitable for the two of them to go. After that, Guanghua flashed, Wu Yuanji and Pan Yuanlong disappeared, apparently being sent to the trial ground. Yi Ming, thank you. I don't know how many stops on this trial road and how many trials will it go through. Celestial Will, before you become the Lord God, as long as you cultivate, the trial road will be far. Unless you reach the eternal realm, the trial road will be considered to the end. Yi Ming nodded. I want to participate in the next trial, I hope you can remind me. When the time is up, I will send you directly to the trial ground through the virtual heavenly order. Tianting said, however, the next trial is very dangerous. Oh, where is the trial ground? Yi Ming asked curiously. The Yuanshui continent is a place full of evil blood, Tianting said, you must be fully prepared, and never fall. I understand. Yi Ming nodded. He didn't worry about Yuan Shui's trip to the mainland. By then, he should be holy, or even Valkyrie, and he should be able to cope with these dangers. Leaving Zushan realm, Yi Ming took a small death, Gan Yuanjian, Yi Yuanwang, and Yi Yuanlang, and went to Chengxin Road together. Entering the road to the gods, you need to go through a huge teleportation array, and the quota token is the only way to start the teleportation array. The teleportation array is located somewhere in the East China Sea. When Yi Ming and his party arrived, they saw a huge island with a high platform built on it. There are actually a lot of people on the island. Not all of them are going to Chengxin Road, many of them come to do business. But more people just come and see the fun. After all, those who can embark on the road to becoming a ***** are often geniuses or huge net worths. People stepped on the high platform in an orderly manner, and with each light from the teleportation array, a group of people were teleported up. 5 people came to the stage and were waiting for the stage. Yi Ming unexpectedly saw a young man standing not far away. The young man was thin in clothes, yet handsome in appearance, and his eyes were firm. Yi Ming's eyes of inference can infer that a person is aerodynamic. When he saw the person, he had a long way to go. He immediately stopped and stepped forward and asked, "Little brother, are you going to become a god?" The teenager took a look at Yi Ming and arched his hand. My younger brother Sima is innocent and wants to go to God's way. However, he is not a big force and cannot get a place. But buying a place requires a large amount of money, and I cannot afford it, just come and watch the fun. As soon as Yi Ming smiled, he reached out and took out a token, saying, I have just a few more on my body. If you need it, I will give it to you. The The young Sima was stunned. He had never met such a generous person. The two were not relatives and friends. Why should they help themselves? It was just a huge temptation. Confusion made him fascinated. He looked at Yiming again and asked, "Why do you help me?" "At this moment, when I see you in need, I help you. This token is not precious to me, that's all." Yiming said lightly. Sima Wuxi first gave a deep gift. Then he took the token with both hands and solemnly said, "Dare to ask my brother's name." Yiming smiled. "My name is Yiming. Thank you for your gratitude, and I will reiterate Sima Wuxi in Japan." After that, he was a gift again. "It's not early, let's go." After Yiming said, he took everyone into the teleportation array. Guanghua flashed. After a quarter of an hour, everyone appeared in a vast desert, boundless, and even the divine thought could not reach its end. "Master, why is it a desert? Is this the way to become a god?" Yi Yuanwang asked, very puzzled. "Yiming, the road to Chengxian is very long. As far as I know, it connects 36 large worlds. This desert is only the first world on Chengxian Road. As for what I can meet here, I don't know." Yi Yuanlang, "Master, shall we act together? Let's be separated, you have their own opportunities, but they are not beautiful together." Yiming said. At present, the three disciples of Gan Yuanjian each chose a direction to leave. The boy named Sima Wuxi also bid farewell to Yiming and left alone. Only Yiming and Xiaoxi remained at the scene. Xiaoxi asked, "Aren't you going to try your luck?" Yiming, "No, I just want to go down with you and see the scenery on the road to God." Xiao Dai said, "I didn't need to observe here, but you want to see, I'll take you there." After that, the two disappeared and appeared in an ancient hall the next moment. This hall is hidden under the desert. Countless people will find it after suffering, but it can be found immediately. In the main hall, there are recorded the practice methods of Shinto, the history of formation, and the main points of cultivation in each stage. Yiming hastily looked and felt quite rewarding, so let Xiao Dai to the next place. In this way, Yiming, led by Xiaoxi, walked through the first 35 worlds of Chengxian Road in turn. Every great world hides the mysteries of Shinto cultivation, the true meaning, and is the treasure of Shinto practitioners. This is also a very high practice for Xiaoxi, otherwise Yiming would not be able to understand Shinto in such a brisk and global way. Out of a sea of the 35th Great World, Yiming said, "This is the way of Shinto, it is better than my previous understanding." It turned out that Yiming knew what the core of the Law Heaven realm was, he understood the essence of the eternal life, and he also understood the meaning of the eternal representative. This knowledge has an excellent guiding role for him to open his own way of martial arts. In the next big world, you will see the only emperor, and I will not follow it. Yiming said, "I have not yet qualified. Little Death. After consulting, I will return to Tiandaomen immediately, you go home and wait for me." Yiming, "I have learned a lot in this month. I will retreat after going back. If you have time, look after Yi Yuanlang." After the two broke up, Xiao died to see the only emperor, and he left Chengxianlu directly, and returned to Tiandaomen to begin retreat. Prior to this, he had repaired Tianxinju to 7th, and then the Eye of Hope. This gazing eye realizes the heavenly fortune in the meditation, which has something to do with Tianxinju. Yiming began to try to merge the two into a celestial heart bead, and this new celestial heart bead represents the potential part of the chaos in the second stage. The integration process was very smooth. With 10 yuan calculation, Yiming achieved it in just 3 days. The new Tianxinju has a more mysterious function. With him, Yiming is not only able to uphold the heavens and the heart, but also to see the human relationship. It is incredible. After that, he continued to play math arithmetic, and by 10 yuan arithmetic, he easily reached 10 grade arithmetic. After that, the 10-ary arithmetic matrix was integrated into the cause and effect ring to form the second part of the chaos arithmetic. In the same way, the ring of cause and effect is transformed into an aura of light, rolling endlessly. The above three articles spent half a year of Yi Ming. Later, he released the Fushan sword formation of the rune chapter, abandoned the Fushan sword formation and the four-handed sword, and instead incorporated the newly learned Bengtianquan into it, and replaced it with a broken empty sword. Once he becomes a warrior in the future, this broken sword is an artifact in his hands. Immediately after that inscription, Ruyi stick was also discarded, because Ruyi stick had been made into a three-pointed, two-edged sword by him, and replaced with that square gold brick, and the same thing was remembered on it, and the name was changed. In this way, Yi Ming will have two artifacts in the future, the broken sword and the heavenly seal. It took a lot of time to do this, and it was more than 3 months before I knew it. When the two were completed, Yi Ming merged the two to become the forbidden part of the second-order chaos. Fantianjianju and Bengtianquan were transformed into a supernatural power forbidden and integrated into one. On the broken empty sword, there was an additional sword spike, and a small ornament was attached to it. Yi Ming's broken empty sword is no longer a simple broken empty sword. At this point, Yi Ming took nearly a year, and finally revised the Chaos Classics into the second order and stepped into the sacred position. The sacred position of Wu Sheng is to prepare for the achievement of Valkyrie. Yuan Ying is further complete, and has the ability to understand the gods. He can initially predict the danger and avoid evil. Yi Ming's God and Ming ability comes from the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Spirits, and is far beyond the ordinary sacred martial arts. Stepping into the sacred position, Yi Ming failed to immediately break through the Valkyrie, because Emperor Shang actually returned. He had known that the life could not hold him for too long, but he didn't expect it to return soon, which surprised him. He knew the strength of Emperor Shang, so he took the compass of destiny, left Tiandaomen, and went to the world of the three emperors to see if the master Jin Xuanbai had recovered. Since obtaining the compass of fate, he has not used it once, for fear of the prohibition set by the other party. Moreover, Emperor Shang now returns, he dare not leave this thing with him, but hurriedly leave Tianyuan continent. As soon as Yi Ming left Tiandaomen, the space-time boy had not left Tianyuan continent. The fate compass in his arms suddenly shook, and it seemed that there was a strong pull on it. Between the electric light and fire, Yi Ming let go of his hand, and saw the compass of fate rising to the sky, wondering where it was flying. Strange. It seems that the person who took the compass was not Emperor Shang. Who would it be? He frowned. Although the destiny compass flew away by himself, he still asked the time and space boy to take him to the three emperors' world, where he had visited the palace. Inside the imperial city, the Temple of Immortality. When Yi Ming appeared in the temple, it was known that Jin Xuanbai had left a month ago, and his injuries had disappeared and he was completely recovered. The person who met Yi Ming was a waiter, and his true identity was the palace honor. Yi Ming, during this period, can someone hunt you down? Dianzun asked. As a person whose 12 disciples had been hidden, his performance was somewhat neurotic. Ming, no, is everything going well with? Dianzun laughed. Your brother has just broken through the 6 realms of longevity and is about to inherit the throne. Yi Ming was silent for a moment. I wonder if I can know the identity of my brother. No, Dianzun said coldly. If you know, you must die. Or, until your brother has an accident and is killed, you will know his identity. Yi Ming was not angry, saying, although my brother is extraordinary, my future achievements may not be weaker than him. Your qualifications seem to be of the highest quality and have unlimited potential. Dianzun's expression was somewhat unexpected. The last time you met, you were not like this, which shows that you have had an adventure again and gained a lot. Yi Ming, Mr. Regret. I said earlier that you may not be able to become the Dianzun. Dianzun said, you and your brother, but one is in the light, the other is in the dark. Which one wins in the end depends on the chance. Can't let you come here for nothing. Today, I will give you the resources you will spend in the next 100 years. Dianzun said, handing a bracelet to Yiming. Yiming infiltrated the power of Yuan Ying, and he was shocked. The eternal coin was actually full of it. He probably counted it. There were at least 1 million eternal coins in it. In terms of growth coins, that's $8.1 trillion. 811 billion long-lived coins are a century-long practice resource, which is equivalent to 811 billion long-lived coins that can be obtained each year, which is a large amount. Dianzun then handed a volume of jade bamboo slips to Yiming, saying, this is the jade bamboo slips that were left by the ancestors of the year. The previous Dianzun had never been enlightened, so you take it. Yiming was startled and said, Dunzun, shouldn't it be given to a brother? Dianzun smiled bitterly. This thing stayed with your brother from an early age, but he never realized the slightest bit. 1 year ago, he finally gave up and returned Yujian as a teacher. Yiming put away the jade jane and said, no brother can come to enlightenment, I'm afraid I can't help it. Dianzun looked at Yiming, your brother is good. If you have the opportunity to meet him in the future, you will be glad to have such a brother. Yiming froze for a while. To this brother, he was more or less jealous. After all, he just took out the false preacher who was in danger, and the brother was the true preacher. I hope we can meet one day, he said. When the two met, it showed that the brother's strength was already strong enough to protect himself. At that time, it should be the power of Chengsheng 9 realms. At that time, he, the false heir, will no longer take risks, which is a benefit for both. Dianzun, you can't meet your brother until he grows up. However, if you can understand the mystery on Yujian, you can go to see him. Because the content on Yujian is very important to him. Yiming nodded. Master, rest assured, if I have something, I will never hide it, and I have learned the ancestors' set of heavenly sword tactics. If my brother can use it, he can also impart it to him. Dianzun was very pleased and said, very good. Yiming, you must understand that in the future, you will be in danger. No matter how difficult it is, your brother must be the one who protects you. His character and manner are even teachers. All sighed. Yiming felt that Dianzun was a bit overdone, but he hadn't seen a real person, so he didn't think too much. He only said, Master, if there is nothing else, I will leave first. Go. If you are in trouble, you can inform the teacher in time. In most cases, the teacher will be the first time. Dianzun explained again. After bidding farewell to the hall, Yiming returned to the palace, and now there is no more suitable place for him to cultivate. He decided to break through to the Wushan realm here, and by the way study the Jade Jane to see if he could understand the mystery. Last time in the world of the 3 emperors, he ordered Shalwa to chop the emperor's 9 sons and made a great disaster. The emperor had to let him stay for a while. Now it seems that this matter has been for some time. It is time to come and see the situation. As soon as Yiming showed up at the royal palace, Shenglong greeted him and said, you can count it. Yiming looked around and felt that the palace of the people was different from the past and looked indifferent. He sank and asked, what happened? Shenglong sighed softly, it's a long story, let's talk in the study. When the two arrived in the study, Shenglong immediately explained what happened after Yiming left. It turned out that Yiming beheaded the emperor's 9 sons, setting off a huge wave. The emperor's side believed that the emperor had murdered the emperor's 9 sons. The emperor's side was determined that the emperor's 9 sons were extremely guilty and was crowned by the emperor. The dispute between the two sides quickly became heated, and the two forces fought openly. The emperor did not know what considerations he should take to help the emperor secretly. In this dispute, I don't know how many people have died, and how many people have lost their jobs and been dismissed, which has also involved many local forces. The power of the original emperor is far from being comparable to that of the emperor. But the emperor secretly helped him, giving him the ability to fight the emperor. The end result was that the emperor was the party with the most losses, but the emperor finally compromised, and the two parties decided to solve the problem peacefully. Yi Ming, a peaceful way. What does the emperor want? Shang Long, the three emperors will hold a ceremony soon. At the time of the High Emperor, the three emperors will each send one person to the three emperors' hall to see the three emperors' idols. The three parties agreed that whoever sent them could make the three emperors' idols manifest. Even if it wins, the loser has to unconditionally agree to the winner's requirements. Yi Ming, this is too childish. What if all the idols are not manifested? No, the high sacrifice is held every 100 years, and each time a high sacrifice will have an idol manifestation. Shanglong said, the difficulty lies in how to step into the three emperors' palace safely. How do you say this? Do you want to enter the three emperors' palace and experience many difficulties? Yi Ming frowned, feeling that the matter was not easy. Shanglong, yes. If you want to enter the three emperors' hall, you must go through the 81st floor of the three pavilions and 6 pavilions. The High Festival has always been the place where the three emperors fight, and they will send experts to embarrass the opponents at the 3 pavilions and 6 pavilions. So history in the past, it was never 3 people who entered the three emperors' palace, and more often, only one person entered. Even 2 people entered the temple at the same time were rare. Yi Ming, what about the 81st stage? Is it also ambush? The 81st stage is the test left by the first 3 emperors. In history, the number of people who could finally pass the first 3 emperors' tests accounted for less than 30% of the total, so not every big sacrifice was successful, and many times it was abandoned halfway through, Shanglong said, so this time, whoever can enter the 3 emperors' palace, whoever wins. Yi Ming, people entering the 3 emperors' hall have any requirements for Shu Wei? There is no requirement, Shanglong said, but the age must not exceed 40. Most people of this age have not yet become masters, and the kings who have entered the longevity are even rarer. Yi Ming, are there any powerful figures over the emperor? On the emperor's side, only the 13th emperor's son currently meets the requirements. This person is already a cultivation practice for the second life of Changsheng. At present, he is under 40 years old and the highest cultivation person. Shanglong said, on the emperor's side, it is the 8th son of the emperor, who is a realm of longevity. Yi Ming, I'm not yet 40 years old, but I can participate. I don't know what kind of ambush the emperor will set up in the 6 pavilions of Tianting. People who ambush at the 3 pavilions and 6 pavilions can only be up to 6 small realms higher than those who break through the barriers. If you are Fei, the other party is up to 7-fold. And there is a limit on the number of people. Shanglong, but those who set the ambush can often form a powerful killing line, which has always been difficult to deal with. Yi Ming, is there no need to compete between the 3 passers? Of course there is. Shanglong Road, 3 pavilions after the 3 pavilions, the latter 3 pavilions are prepared for this purpose. The 4th, 5th and 6th pavilions are each stationed by 3 participants. These 3 court, as long as it doesn't die, it will succeed even if it breaks through. Yi Ming understood this and said, the situation seems to be unfavorable to us. I don't see any energy in the palace. Shanglong, the bad news I just got, the 13th emperor broke through and entered the 3 realms of longevity. Everyone in the palace thinks that we have no chance. Ming sneered, longevity 3 realms. I don't think the other party will send 13 thrones. Shanglong. You mean, Chengsheng 3 realms must face the repression of Chengsheng 9 realms. So is it a disadvantage? Yi Ming. Exactly. If I were the other party, I would definitely send a mage, not a king. After all, the gap between the 9 realms of the 9 kingdoms and the 3 realms of the 9 kingdoms would not be as great as the 9 realms of the 3 realms and 9 realms of the long life. He is afraid that even 3 pavilions will not be able to get through. Even if his cultivation is against the sky, he will not be able to beat 6 longevity and 9 realms. Shanglong. This is also true. So the emperor will send people from Fei to Fahia. Yi Ming. It must be so I can break through in a few days. After becoming a Valkyrie, I can give it a try. That's great. Shanglong rejoiced. In this way, we have a chance to win. As he said, a hermit guard came, and after seeing the ceremony, he said, His Royal Highness, the Emperor has invited you. Yi Ming nodded, and went to the Emperor's hall with the reclusive guard. In the palace of the Emperor was worried, and when he saw Yi Ming, he said, Prince, do you know the situation here? Yi Ming nodded. Father Emperor, the sons and daughters decided to go to the 3 Emperors' hall. But you know, is it going to be very dangerous? The Emperor looked at him. I was worried about this matter. For a month, I couldn't find a suitable candidate. Yi Ming. No election, sons and daughters will be able to enter the 3 Emperors' hall. Emperor. No, it's too dangerous. People who have always entered the 3 Emperors' hall have survived less than 30%. Yi Ming. Father Emperor, rest assured that I will be fine. And this time, we can't lose anyway, and we can't afford that result. The Emperor sighed. I didn't expect the Emperor's reaction to be so fierce for my father. Later, if it wasn't for the Emperor's help, my power would be afraid to be cleaned up. Yi Ming. Father, why did the Emperor help us? Because once I lose power, the Emperor's life will not be easy, he can only help me. Emperor said, the main reason is that the Emperor has been too fierce in the past 100 years, and the Emperor had to shoot guarantee. Yi Ming. So the Emperor is too suffocated, there must be a reason in it. The Emperor was silent for a moment, and said, I have received some unclear news. The life of Emperor Sikongji has been less than 100 years. He must support Sikongzan to the position of heaven before he can be alive. When Yi Ming moved, he had heard about it from Jin Xuanbai's mouth. On that day, the emperor had a son, named Sikongzan, whose qualifications were against the sky. At that time, he was already the 3 realms of longevity. Today, his cultivation is probably higher. Emperor. Sikongzan is the 7th son of the emperor. He is under the age of 45. Ming. According to the rules, the position of the emperor must be inherited by the emperor. What about the emperor? He can dismiss the emperor or the emperor, and then let Sikongzan take over. In this way, Sikongzan will become the emperor sooner or later. Emperor said, probably for this reason, the emperor will be so eager and act fiercely. Does the emperor have the power to dismiss the emperor and the emperor? Yi Ming asked in surprise. If the emperor and the emperor both believe that the emperor's virtues are bad, he can exercise the dismissal. Similarly, if the emperor is a united emperor, he can also dismiss the emperor. In other words, the situation of the emperor and me, it's all dangerous. Yi Ming. In this way, the emperor should beware of the cooperation between the emperor and the emperor. On the contrary, the emperor is more worried than me, because my foundation is far less than him. If you are an emperor, do you want a person with a weak foundation to stay, or a person with a deep root? Yi Ming said, yes, the emperor wants to deal with the emperor, not the emperor. The emperor nodded, so my situation is better than the emperor. But once the emperor cooperates with the emperor to dismiss the emperor, then he will have to face the emperor's suppression alone. Yi Ming said, yes, because of this, the father has never accepted the emperor's encirclement. But in this way, the father is also worried that the emperor will retreat next and go to cooperate with the emperor. At this point, the emperor sighed, quite helpless. Yi Ming silently, although the emperor now helps the emperor against the emperor, once the emperor releases his goodwill, it is difficult to guarantee that he will not switch to the emperor. At that time, the situation of the emperor will be difficult, and the imperial power will be easily removed. But, the emperor's tone turned and stared at Yi Ming. If the emperor can show you, the emperor and the emperor will be jealous. Yi Ming, even if the children are so genius, I'm afraid they won't hold them back. The emperor waved his hand. Be assured, as long as you show enough genius, the subjects of the three emperors' world will be on your side. This is a rule for hundreds of thousands of years. No one dares to destroy it, not even the emperor. Yi Ming knew that as the crown prince, he would be guarded by the entire world of the three emperors. Even if the emperor abdicates, his crown prince will remain solid, unless there is a more suitable candidate than him. The idea of the emperor is simple. As long as Yi Ming is talented, his crown prince will be safe enough. Even if the emperor and the emperor really joined together, the first one to start would be the prince. The crown prince does not dismount, they will never shoot at the crown prince. If you think about it, you will understand that in the future, the emperor changed people, but the prince did not change it. This will be a huge disaster and it will be difficult to convince the public. You have to know that the crown prince is quite powerful. Anything he can do can make the newly succeeded emperor burned and unable to cope. More importantly, after the emperor stepped down, his successor must be the crown prince, not Si Kongzhen. Step back 10,000 steps, even if Si Kongzhen succeeds the emperor, the position of that emperor is only a springboard for him. His real goal is the position of the emperor, so he cannot stay in the emperor position for too long. Within 100 years, Si Kongzhen would become the emperor. At that time, the crown prince would still be on the position of emperor and become the new enemy of the new emperor Si Kongzhen. So in any case, the emperor must first dismiss the emperor Yi Ming as his emperor. In other words, as long as the crown prince's seat is maintained, the status of the crown prince will not be threatened. To understand this, Yi Ming said lightly, Father Emperor, just rest assured, they want to deal with me, I'm afraid it will not be so easy. The emperor nodded, and said comfortingly, longer, I owed you too much for my father in his early years, and he must make good compensation to you in the future. Yi Ming, Father Emperor said that's it, I am your son and you are my father. Whenever and wherever you encounter trouble, the son will be the first one to stand up. I was so impressed that I couldn't help but pat on the shoulder of Yi Ming and said, good boy, the greatest pride in my father's life is that I gave birth to you. Yi Ming sighed softly, the real Long Xiaobai had already died, and he was just a fake. But he does not exclude such a majestic yet gentle father, and is willing to do something for him. His mind flashed, and he said, Father, if the emperor were going to deal with me, what would they do? The emperor had thought about it countless times and immediately said, there are only two ways. The first is to find someone who is more genius than you and more suitable to become the emperor of the emperor. Ji Sheng and Yu Tianxuan challenged you before this method. The second method is assassination. If you are killed, the crown prince will naturally change people. The second method is not to worry about the father. After all, this is the next policy. They dare to assassinate you and be the father. Dare to kill that heir lord, so that everyone can tear his face. The first way is Yang Mo, the hardest to break. Yiming disagreed. Father Emperor relaxed. No matter what kind of master sent by the other party, I have confidence to overcome. Emperor Ren, I hope you break through to Valkyrie as soon as possible, so that you can more easily meet the challenge. Yiming, Urchin can break through in the near future, and then he will go to the legendary school to practice for a while. Once he becomes a martial arts god, Urchin will not fear anyone. The emperor was very excited, and said, okay. The battle between the three emperors in the 6 months later, my son can do his best to let them know your genius. Yiming smiled. Children understand, I will blind their eyes. The emperor laughed happily, ha ha, and said, there is still half a year left for the father to open up the cultivation treasures of the three emperors' world. You can go to practice there. Yiming was startled. Is there a treasure land for cultivation in the three emperors' world? That's natural. Don't forget, the first three emperors were powerful gods. What is the cultivation land? However, only the three emperors can enter the cultivation land, and then they can only take you to the father. Yiming's heart jumped and asked, I don't know what level of cultivation land. What kind of land? Emperor, there are 15 kinds of cultivation treasures, of which there are 2 kinds of NINTH grade cultivation treasures. When Yiming heard it, he was overjoyed and asked, Father Emperor, what are 2 kinds of cultivation treasures? Emperor of the people, one is the realm of the 3 realms, and the other is the 5 elements to the yin. The 2 types of land, one yin and one yang, are the 2 most subtle types of cultivation land. Yiming said, children practiced in the 9-level Valley God Treasure Land and the 9-level King Kong Treasure Land. The emperor was pleasantly surprised and unexpected. My son is very lucky. These 2 treasures are the refining of the gods and the condensed flesh. With previous experience, you can do more with less when you practice in the extremely precious land and the most precious land. Yiming thought for a while, and said, Father Emperor, the Sun Chen has practiced a super excellent merit, which has been triple completion, and wants to impact the 4th. In addition, the Sun Chen also cultivates a Tenjin change, and wants to break through to 5th change. But practicing these 2 exercises will consume a lot of precious materials. The emperor's face changed, and he asked, you mean too much supreme merit? Yiming nodded. Is the father emperor practicing? The emperor said, I have heard of the top 3 for my father, but it is incomplete and difficult to cultivate. Yiming smiled. Then I will tell the complete emperor's supreme master to my father. The emperor laughed. Okay. Thanks to this skill, maybe the father has a chance to impact the position of the Lord God. As for the cultivation of the treasures you need, you can prepare everything for the father. You don't need to worry. What Yiming wants is this sentence. The 5th devotion of the heavenly gods 5 changes and the supreme consumption is too large, and less of it will cost 7 or 8 trillion yuan of longevity coins. If the money was out of his own pocket, he wouldn't be able to take it out at a short while. Besides, he still keeps the heavenly gate, and the rich can't spend the money like that. Emperor, it is better to choose a day than hit the sun. Go and prepare for it after an hour, to the polar land for the father. Yiming nodded. Yes, Sun Chen will prepare. In fact, there was nothing to prepare. He first discussed with the monk the 9th level treasure is too precious, and of course Shang Long will also follow. In addition, the treasures he wants to cultivate are all in 2 copies, and he wants to use this to make Shang Long break through the 4 changes of the gods and the golden body 9 turns. He and the 2 are one and the same, regardless of each other. Both glory and glory, loss and damage. Yiming naturally spares no effort to help him. When Shang Long was ready, he immediately ran to the backyard to say goodbye to the beauty. This beauty is exactly the goddess Yiming bought at the auction last time. She has been sealed since the ancient times and has forgotten her previous memories. The beauty bought it home, and Shanglong named it Yi. This goddess named Yi has new memories under the care of Shanglong. She regards Shanglong as her husband and serves her daily. This Yi is really beautiful. Yiming couldn't help looking at it when he saw it. Na Yi is a girl. She met Yiming, worshipped Yingying and said, Fu Jun. Yiming is not surprised. Shanglong is part of him, and the atmosphere of the two is only slightly different. She is naturally regarded as one. He nodded and said, We're going to the 9 treasure land to practice. Would you like to go together? The goddess Yi shook her head. I will not go if I die. The cultivation land will not work for me. Yiming asked, Yi, are you practicing Shinto? Yi nodded. My Shinto is different from the Shinto in the world. Shinto in the world is a method of cultivation by non-gods, and has the opportunity to step into Shinto. My Shinto is the only method that can be practiced by gods, and it can prove that the true God. Yi, only, Seigu Shenye, can help the body practice. Taigu Shenye. Yiming nodded. If you encounter this in the future, I will definitely buy you. Thank you, husband. Goddess Yi worshipped again. Farewell to the goddess. The two came to the emperor's study. The emperor had already been prepared, but with a wave of his sleeves, the two felt that the heavens and the earth turned, and within a short time they entered the infinite void. In the void, there was a bit of light flashing, and the emperor told them that those are the treasures of cultivation. Yiming felt that this place was quite different from the trial ground, and asked, Father Emperor, was the space created by the 3 emperors here? The emperor said, Exactly. Only the heirs of the 3 emperors are qualified to come here to practice. If I don't bring it with me, you have no right to come here. Talking, Yiming was thrown into a light spot. Upon entering it, he immediately felt that the sheer extreme power of the sun eroded his primordial spirit and physical body, and had to fight against each other. The immortal voice of the emperor sounded in his ears. The power of the extreme sun, the solstice of the sun, it is normal for the soul to survive in it, but because of this, it can temper the human form and spirit. Contest, if you see a ant hold on, take you away for your father. Fortunately for Yiming Chung, the **** of heaven changed, otherwise he would never be able to carry it. Even so, his body and mind are suffering tremendous pain. This time, Ruyi's robes once again exerted their magical powers, exerting the joyful Dafa, and turning that pain into joyful feelings. In contrast, Shenglong did not dare to cultivate in the middle of the treasure land, but slowly adapted in the marginal zone. Even so, he clenched his teeth and was in pain. Slowly, Yiming began to adapt to the power of the extreme sun. This force is pure to pure, and after being washed by it, Yuanying becomes pure and incomparable, without any impurities. In this way, 9 days passed unconsciously. Yiming suddenly felt that Yuanying was shaking, and his subconsciously began to work on the 9 changes. 81 treasures and gods prepared by the emperor were released. They were burned by the power of the sun, and turned into **** light and aura. They were infused into Yiming's Yuanying. Boom. For a moment, Yiming's Yuanying rushed out of the flesh and sat in the void. This Yuan baby has a triple light, holding a sky-changing sword mark. These 3 divine lights represent the power, reason, and forbidden parts of the chaos. The throne of martial arts showed underneath, with a flash of light on it. The 9 yuan abacus array is also operating at full strength, using the power of the treasures and gods to impact the 5 changes of God. Click, God-level restraints suddenly appeared in the void, imprinting marks in the void, 1 place, 2 places, 10 places, and 100 places. Within a short time, the entire space of the treasure land was remembered by the forbidden runes of God level, and formed an unknown **** array. This is the power of the forbidden ministry, which can be placed in the heavens and the three realms. Next, these forbidden runes are arranged and combined in a mysterious and regular pattern, and their power is multiplied 3 times, 5 times, and 10 times. This is the power of the Ministry of Management, which can make everything more efficient and powerful. Subsequently, the power of Shibu officially appeared. It connected the entire cultivation treasure in a strange way, and the power of the extreme sun was all gathered. The power of Shibu even surpassed the land of cultivation and radiated the heavens and earths of the three realms. Then, every trace of inexplicable power. Some of these forces come from the big world, some from the void, and even high-dimensional forces, and even the forces of the underworld and the underworld. The power of the three realms was converged here and merged into the unknown. The emperor sits in the void, and the expression on his face is shocked and murmurs, "Why is Longer's Yuanying so powerful? Remember the divine forbiddenness in the void and capture the power of the three realms. This method can only grow up, you can only have it." The power of the large array is getting stronger and stronger, forming a force field that envelopes the entire void and all the cultivation treasures. The power in each treasure began to gather in the large array. This is equivalent to cultivating Yiming among all the treasures at the same time. 15 kinds of cultivation treasures, 15 kinds of mysterious power, flow into the array in a mysterious arrangement in a perfect way, making this nameless array more and more extraordinary. 1 day, 2 days, and 10 days, a full 100 days passed, the large-scale ban was finally brought to an end, and the strength gathered from the heavens of the three realms was sufficient. The whole array suddenly lit up, and Yiming's Yuanying suddenly changed qualitatively, turning into a ball of three-color phosgene, suspended in the air, shining on the four-dimensional octopoles. The gods of God change 5 times, it is done. Yiming shouted loudly, and was open-minded. However, cultivation has not stopped, and the anonymous array continues to complete his chaotic trilogy with the help of many strange forces released by the three realms. Relying on his qualifications against the sky, the supreme wisdom of Zhuwan Xuanzhen, and the help of unknown Dazhang, his sacred Yuanying quickly improved, transformed, and gradually completed. On the 49th day after the change of Tianyuan, the three-colored phosgene merged into a chaotic air, and it kept rolling. As soon as this chaos phosgene came out, the supreme ***** thunder was sensed over the 9 days, and countless horrific thunders were severely split, each hit on Yiming's chaotic elementary infant. Click. Chaos phosgene seemed to be stimulated and suddenly became 10 times larger. In the second lightning strike, chaos phosgene expanded tenfold. If this happens again and again, chaos phosgene continues to grow and become stronger, and begins to unleash terrible power. No wonder it can cause thunderstorms. It turned out to be the chaos ***** form. The emperor was shocked, and his mouth widened subconsciously. Is there such a ***** form in the world? If Longer really succeeds, then Sikongzan would be worse than him. At this moment, in addition to joy, the emperor is more deeply worried. The greater the achievement, the greater the danger. If Yiming could not be tempered by thunder and robbery at this moment, he would certainly be extinct, and no one could help him. The 1981 thunder fell, and Yiming's chaos phoenix had permeated every corner of the void. It was huge, like a chaotic cosmic chicken. The thunderstorm is not over yet. The chaos phosgene suddenly shrinks and turns into a giant light egg. This light egg is 90,000 miles long, and the surface of the egg is covered with delicate runes. Each rune echoes the heavens and the earth. It is wonderful. Wow! 360 types of treasures were released by Yiming. He in the light egg actually wants to cultivate the fourth highest power of Supreme at this time, 9 life and death. This 9 life and death work must be put to death and then born, and then transformed in despair, sublimated, and reborn, like a phoenix nirvana, born from death. In this way, life from death and 9 reincarnations can achieve the perfect state of 9 life and death. At this moment, a huge cloud of black ink began to converge in the void, and it released the power to destroy everything. The emperor's face paled, and he exclaimed, "My son, be careful. This is a mass extinction thunderbolt. Its power is so great that I don't know how many long lives can die on it." Yiming began to shrink the light egg with full force. From 90,000 miles, it quickly shrank to the size of a chicken. It didn't even glow anymore, hovering silently there. Boom! The endless white electric knife, electric sword, and electric gun fell from the air. They actually shrank, each hitting the light egg. Immediately afterwards, the dark black lightning also fell, and it carried the breath of death, the decay of breath, and extinct all things, without any vitality. All of a sudden, Yiming's heart and body suffered unprecedented invasion at the same time. He was almost desperate in his heart. Even Ruyi's robe could not transfer his pain, he screamed screaming. He called so badly that the emperor thought he was killed and anxiously stomped his feet. However, at this time, he dare not step forward to help each other. This will only make Tianji even more terrible. This power was too horrible. The light egg that Yiming had just born couldn't resist, and was immediately dyed black. His vitality was almost eroded, leaving only a little spirituality. Live for life, Starfire Hagiwara. In despair, the light egg suddenly shined brightly, and it exploded. The violent breath swept away the dark breath, the raw breath spewed out, and instantly dispelled the dark clouds. A human figure condensed by chaos and phosgene appeared in the air, holding the sky sword mark, magnificent and magnificent. It is good. The emperor couldn't help praising him. His face was full of joy, and he came to Yiming in one step, and laughed. My child finally broke through and became a martial arts god. As soon as Yiming shook his form, he was taken back by Yiming. He smiled slightly and said, "Thanks to his father's protection of the law. It's your own effort to have done half the effort for your father." There was no amount of smiles, and the old man was relieved. He took Yiming and Shanglong out of the void and returned to the palace of the people for a moment. At this time, it was almost 5 months before they entered the cultivation treasure, and the period of the high sacrifice was near. The emperor said, "My son, you are in the form of a god, and you will take good care of yourself. After 1 month, you will shine on the big offering." Yiming naturally went back to his hometown to cultivate. The emperor sent him countless panaceas to cultivate him. The value of these things is even more expensive than the treasures and gods he just consumed, and it can be said that it is the old man of the emperor. Yiming's heart was full of enthusiasm, nourishing his spirit. This divine shape is different from Yuan Ying. It gathers shape, and looseness as qi. It has many wonderful uses. After warming himself up, he set out to study divine skills. Divine skill is a unique method of martial arts, combining supernatural power and martial arts, resulting in unparalleled lethality. A magic skill can contain several magical spells and several martial arts skills. Moreover, its effect is not 1 + 1 = 2, but 1 + 1 = 5, = 10, or even more. He has supernatural powers, including Lingtian Strike, Great Sacrifice, Zhaotian Sword Wheel, Stealing Claw, Bloodlight Kill, Celestial Surgery, Ground Sight, Air and Space, Invincible Body, Sacred Finger, 5 Elements Killing, Step by Step, and so on. For martial arts, there are Sky-Breaking Boxing, Ground-Breaking Fingers, Sky-Changing Hands, Sky-Changing Swords, and so on. In fact, he has been to Shuai, exposed to 24 civilizations, and countless martial arts skills and magical powers in his mind. This is a great advantage for him to create magical skills. No one else has this kinds of conditions. What's more, he also has a 9-ary abacus array and a third-order chaos abacus, which is even more important for his creation of magic skills. Yi Ming's hands have the sword mark of the sky, so his first consideration is the 2 martial arts skills of the sky hand and the sky sword, and the 2 kendo magical powers of the Zhou Tianjian world and the 5 elements of life killing. Skyscraper and Skisword are created by ancestors. He turned the sword, but he hasn't cultivated. This upheaval is what he learned in the Immortal Temple, but he has not had time to cultivate. Moreover, he always thought that this martial art was too difficult, and he never tried it. As for Zhou Tianjian's sword and the 5 elements, he is very skilled. The Zhou Tianjian world was derived from the Daozautian sword technique. The Daozautian sword technique was taught by him in yin and yang, and he practiced it to the extreme. From Liangyi to gossip, from gossip to Daozautian, he practiced step by step and used countless hard work. The 5-element killing technique is derived from the 5-element sword code. In the 5-element swords, he also worked hard. First, he modified the 5-element sword techniques, namely Xuantian White Emperor Sword, Yutian Black Emperor Sword, Juntian Yellow Emperor Sword, Kang Tianqing Emperor Sword, and Yang Tian Chidi Sword. 5 Swordsmanship, he is a set of repairs. On the martial arts field, he continued to practice the Daozautian swordsmanship, already well known in the chest. Daozautian swordplay is characterized by its impermanence and impermeability. Once, twice, 10 times, 100 times. Practiced 3,000 times, and then practiced the 5-element swords. He merged the 5 emperor swordsmanship into one, and the 5 elements of swordsmanship formed an infinite power, far above the Daozautian swordsmanship. But at this moment, this sword technique is used in his hands, and it actually has the charm of Daozautian sword technique, and it is getting stronger and stronger. Suddenly, he turned to practice heaven and earth again. It was too difficult for him at that time. But now it comes, but it's almost like a cloud of water. After a little calculation of chaos calculation, a supernatural power is obtained, called the Sky Mark. This magical power is exactly the same as that of the heavenly sword. Cultivated into a sky-changing hand, the sky-changing sword tactic has also made a breakthrough. In this way, he continuously deduced, after 9 days, the first magical skill, the 5 elements Fantian seal was created. The power of this magical skill is far above any kind of magical power he cultivates. It can be integrated into the Daozautian swordsmanship, as well as the heavenly sword tactics and heavenly hands. It can be a magical power or a martial art. Change. Feel free to use Ruyi with great power. On the second 9 days, he combined the sword technique, groundbreaking finger, and bloodlight to create the blood-breaking finger of the ground. The power is only slightly weaker than the 5 elements. For the 9 days, he combined air technique, stealing the sky claw, and falling sky fist to create a magical technique called the magic hand, stealing the sky fist, which is more magical than the 5 elements. After the creation of 3 magical techniques, the high sacrifice arrived as scheduled. Without waiting for the emperor to call him, Yi Ming walked out of the martial arts court and appeared in the emperor's study. The emperor looked at Yi Ming and felt that his temperament was more stable and restrained than when he first entered the warrior god, and the triple light of God's light flowed out of the body. That was a unique sign of divine skill, and it was only his longevity can see it. Yes, 3 magical skills were created in just 1 month, the emperor praised. Yi Ming, Father Emperor, the realm of children and ministers is roughly equivalent to the first level of law. Most of the people ambushing in the 3 pavilions and 6 pavilions should be the 7 figures of Fatian. Do these children need to keep their hands? The emperor said lightly, if you have the ability to strip them off, it doesn't matter. These people are all dead men supported by the emperor. Their qualifications may not be strong, but the means of killing are very clever. You must be careful. Yi Ming said indifferently, on the means of killing, there are so many ways of children and ministers, without fear of them. 2 days passed in a flash, and finally came to the day of the great sacrifice. The three emperors' ceremonies are held only once every 100 years and are very solemn. At this moment, on the huge sacrifice in front of the three emperors' hall, all three emperors have arrived, civil and military officials, princes of all walks of life, quartet deities, local religions, etc. All characters of some status have arrived. The three emperors personally prayed for the incense, and in front of the altar were placed 3 slaughtered beasts, the golden-winged rock bird, the 5-element pangolin, and Shuk the cold dragon. All 3 kinds of beasts possess the strength of 9 realms, but at this moment, they have become sacrifices. After the 3 emperors worshipped, the civil and military officials visited. The whole ceremony was solemn, and no one made a sound. The ceremony took place for 2 hours, and the last one was the internal sacrifices sent by the 3 emperors. The previous ceremony was presided over by the 3 emperors and was called an external sacrifice. The inner festival was when the 3 emperors sent one person to enter the 3 emperors' hall in a competitive way. The internal sacrifice will have miracles appear, and those who finally enter the 3 emperors' temple will probably get the deities of the first 3 emperors. The value of oracles cannot be measured, and no matter who gets them, their status will rise sharply. Therefore, this competition is not only for resolving the previous disputes, but also for the 3 emperors to consolidate their status. If Yi Ming wins, the emperor will not be able to shake the emperor in a short time. Please 3 priests on the stage. Wen Shang presided over the ceremony and announced loudly. Yi Ming and the other 2 boarded the stage almost simultaneously. As soon as he appeared, there was a whisper. Obviously, the emperor sent a prince, which was beyond most people's expectations. Is this crown prince very terrific? Or is it too risky? It seems that the royal prince's deity seems to have made another breakthrough, and it seems to be quite confident. However, the people sent by the emperor and the emperor are by no means simple, and the crown prince is afraid of danger. The 2 people outside Yi Ming are 2 young men, 1 male and 1 female. The man's yellow shirt and yellow hat, with a grin on his face and plain appearance, did not seem to take seriously the contention for the high festival. The woman had very dark complexion, and her face was very serious, standing there quietly. When they saw Yi Ming, they both approached and saluted. I have seen His Royal Highness Prince. Ming nodded slightly. No need to be polite. Please. Wen Shang gave a hand, and the 3 set foot on the path to the 3 emperors' hall. On the future, there are 3 pavilions and 6 pavilions, and each person has to pass 1 pavilion, 2 pavilions, and 81 steps. Yi Ming took the middle road. Not far away, a circular pavilion stood. Inside the kiosk, 6 people sat quietly like stone sculptures. Unsurprisingly, the 6 were all strong in the 7 realms of France. Their breath was united, with strong murderous power. Yi Ming walked slowly, and when he was 30 steps away from the kiosk, his speed slowed down. The strength of the 7 heavens realm cannot be underestimated, and there are 6 people in the other side, which can form a powerful killing array, and the comprehensive strength can reach the level of the 8th realm, even the 9 realm. 10 steps, 5 steps, 3 steps, finally stepped into the pavilion, and swayed to the center of 6 people. Yi Ming's move made all 6 of them stunned. In their expectation, Yi Ming would stand outside the battlefield. He broke in so bluntly that they couldn't understand it. Rush. 6 people just thought for a moment. This did not affect their shots in the least. In an instant, 6 people moved, and 6 sword lights burst out. The targets were all Yi Ming's ki. They are both masters of kendo, and they are good at assassination. Once they shot, Yiming felt the suffocating killing and locked him down. Broken. The invisible sword stabbed at a weird angle, carrying the power of terror, and came first, and broke a sword in one fell swoop. The power of the sword felt only an overbearing force coming in. Perrin was unstoppable, and was instantly shocked by Junfei and Himatamili. No matter how powerful this sword array is, Yiming's eyes are full of flaws. He has a 9-ary calculus and a 3rd-order chaos calculus, and you can see how to solve it. The 6 swords went to one of them, and the remaining 5 swords were scattered at a glance, and it was difficult to form a killing array, but to do their own thing. In this way, Yiming is even less threatened, and the invisible sword is lingering, and the 5 swords are swung open in one fell swoop. At the same time, his body flashed 5 times in succession, decisively performing his magical stealing. If 5 people were struck by lightning, their backs were actually stolen by Yiming. All of them were seriously injured and they could no longer stand up. This wonderful hand steals the sky fist, and the magic steals a word, which makes people unconsciously. This is still Yiming did not intentionally kill, otherwise these 6 people have already become corpses. Without the use of divine form, let alone the use of artifacts, Yiming simply defeated the 6 powerhouses by his own means. The people outside were stunned. What's the matter? Crown Prince won so easily. Instead, another man and a woman, they are still fighting hard. Yiming walked past the pavilion and reached a loft. It stands to reason that in the attic should be the priest sent by the emperor. However, the opponent's speed is too slow, and he is still fighting desperately at this moment. Naturally, there is no way to wait for him here. However, the emperor sent another 6 to wait here. These 6 people are also the 7 realms of law, but the breath is completely different from the previous 6. Their breath is extremely calm and extraordinary. It looks like it's not the killer dead, but the real genius. 6 people held their fists together. I've seen the Crown Prince. Yiming nodded and said, the 6 should not be nameless. One of them said, I waited for 6 people from the legendary school and was ordered to meet with His Highness for a while. Frowned. The 6 were actually from the legendary. Another humane. Before we saw the prince's means, the power was amazing, the boxing skills were mysterious, and I waited to admire. Don't say it kindly, Yiming said. Go ahead. The 6 men looked at each other suddenly, and suddenly stood in a circle, each facing one direction, forming a Liuhe sword array. Yiming carefully studied the formation method, and naturally knew the wonders of the Liuhe sword formation. When this array is exhibited, the 6 swords, like the same sword, go in and out together, and their strengths will be superimposed. When the sword array was 10%, the 6 people spun quickly, and the speed was extremely fast. After dying, the 6 had an indistinguishable appearance. They could only see a circle of shadows moving fast, and there was a dangling sword light. Yiming stood still, but secretly was urging Guiyuan Da Junli. This is the true power of Yuan Da, which can stack several moves. With Yiming's current strength, he can stack up to 3 times his attacks and hit 3 times his lethality in one move. Strength slowly builds up and quickly reaches its peak. At this moment, a sword was shot in the light and shadow. This sword was almost as extreme as it was extreme. The target pointed directly at Yiming's heart. Whether Yiming is short, stands up, or flashes his left and right arms, this sword light follows the shadow and is absolutely unavoidable. Fortunately, Yiming had no intention of avoiding him, and the first time that the sword seal was attacked. Just listening to the sound of thunder in the void, a splendid sword light appeared, and a 5-element mark was made. The 5 colors are intertwined with light, condensing into a big seal, and killing it fiercely. The stabbed sword light was instantly wiped out, and even the sword body disintegrated. The fast-moving light and stagnation also suddenly stopped, and a blood arrow was ejected from it, showing that someone was injured. Once printed, the sword swept across the sky, and the force of the force was like the autumn wind sweeping the leaves, and immediately broke the opponent's Liuhe sword array. The two men who were the first to be hit were blown out and dropped to the ground. The remaining four were even less opponents. Yiming took a shot of the blood-splitting fingers, 4 blood-colored fingers, and lightning hit the target. All of them vomited blood and fell to the ground, seriously injured. Yiming used the thunder to sweep the cave, defeating the enemy in the court in one fell swoop, and never stopped to go to the next court. But this time, he met the grinning man in the pavilion. He apparently passed the test in the kiosk, and did not know how to quickly pass the test in the first pavilion, and then waited in advance. Young man still looked grinning, and said, "The disciples in the next undead house, called Mingkong, please enlighten Prince." Yiming looked at the other side and said, "It's an undead person. The emperor is really rich, and even a genius like you can invite you. It's an award. Compared with the crown prince, I'm nothing. In fact, it is the follower of the crown prince." The other side said. Yiming knew that some super geniuses often had a group of geniuses following him. In the future, he will certainly have a large number of followers. Knowing the identity of the other party, he no longer concealed his power and released the godlike shape directly. A ray of chaos rose into the sky, and that solitary emptiness did not see what was in the chaos phoenix, and the sword mark stabbed in the sky. With a sword, the world and the earth are discolored, the situation is fierce and unstoppable. Ji Yumingkong's face changed drastically, and he quickly launched it. I saw a large golden handprint, imprinted in the void, as if it were really made of gold, looking extremely heavy and extremely sturdy. Ding! The sky sword array flew the golden handprints in one fell swoop, and then the castration became worse, hitting the solitary empty chest. The latter snorted, and flew out of the attic directly. After landing, his chest had collapsed, and all the internal organs were damaged. He almost lost his life. Ji Yumingkong looked shocked and unbelievable, and cried, "You are so amazing." Yiming put away the chaos and looked at the ladder without looking at the ladder, and went straight out of the attic to reach the first step of the 81 steps.